from fears of catastrophic experiments triggering apocalyptic events involving time travel and interdimensional portals. CERN has become the subject of a wide range of conjecture and anxieties. However, is any of these so-called theories about what is happening at the Large Hadron Collider true? Is there truth to these concerns? What spiritual inspiration is behind the use of mathematics and specific sciences that led to the construction of the Large Hadron Collider at CERN? Is science truly removed from sorcery and spirituality, or has the occult just come under a new name? In this video, I am going to discuss the occult and its foundations in science and mathematics. And we are going to watch clips from people who have already passed beyond the veil into eternity, who have left their wisdom with us. It is those videos that we are going to watch today to learn about the true origin of mathematics and science. It began in Mesopotamia, ancient Mesopotamia, around Greece with Pythagoras and their ability to keep time, as in 60 seconds was a minute and 60 minutes was an hour. But also in Egypt, the Egyptians were just renowned for their keeping of mathematics. Mathematics that is used today that furthered geometry and algebra and was used in the creation of gigantic monuments in Greece and in Rome. It is those types of scientific sorceries that come from things such as the Cabala, which we will also be talking about today. The Cabala, as well as ancient fallen angel knowledge, gnosis. So it comes from Gnosticism as well. It comes from Plato, from Platonic mysteries, the mystery schools of Plato and Neoplatonism. We're going to learn about each and every bit of how these mysteries pertain to the occult and so-called science that is opening portals, supposedly, and collecting dark matter at CERN. Remember, that is one of their ultimate goals, to collect dark matter. They say they want to open a doorway to another dimension, and they want to follow in the footsteps of Sir Isaac Newton and just continue the work of the scientists of old. But the scientists of old weren't just scientists. They were, in fact, practicers and practitioners of the dark arts. Men like Albert Einstein, and as you will hear from others, the father of the atomic bomb, Robert J. Oppenheimer. He was consulting with spirits, most likely fallen angels. Albert Einstein was a practitioner of Cabala. And we've done videos on The Last Magician. So I want you to pay close attention to the video that we are about to watch from a brother who has passed on, who should be well known to all of you. If not, then you'll hear him for the first time today, and that is Brother Rob Skiba. I am now going to play a video from Brother Rob. The video from Rob Skiba that I am going to play is entitled The Genesis Revelation, and I ask that you would watch it now. in order that you may discover the occult connections.
He says we already have probes on the way to Venus and Mars. Venus and Mars, 62. We didn't even allegedly go to the moon until 69. The moon is allegedly 250,000 miles away. Venus and Mars, they're way past that. We had just, as human beings, we had just basically put a beach ball up in space. Sputnik. You know, you look at that. Ooh, that was like a huge major achievement in 57. And all of a sudden, by 61, 62, we supposedly have probes on the way to Venus and Mars, and we haven't even been to the moon yet. And if you listen to the speech, he mentions it, but it's just kind of just, you don't even think about it. But I went on a NASA website or a space website, whatever it was their official mission log, and it shows you these are all the things that both the United States and Russia immediately, after whatever they did in Antarctica, the first thing they do is start sending stuff out to Venus and Mars and start sending high altitude nuclear bombs up into the sky. Again, if they're trying to avoid a conspiracy, they're not helping with their actions or the names that they're using. So in my opinion, the stage is set for the return of the gods. Have the Watchers been released? Remember I told you they were bound up for 70 generations? That's from Enoch 10:12 right there. They'll be bound for 70 generations. We were talking about generations earlier. Psalm 90 defines it as a generation of 70 years, 80 up by strength. And if we just take the low number there, 70 times 70 is 4,900 years. 4,900 years away from 3000 BC, which is when I showed you the time of the Watchers being judged, bound, and buried. 4,900 years from 3000 BC brings you up to the beginning of the 20th century. Is it just a coincidence that we went from horse and buggy and beasts of burden, basically, for 5,000 years, to all of a sudden planes, trains, automobiles, computers, supposedly sending people to the moon, probes to the farthest reaches of space, all of that in like 50 years? Or did we get some help? Maybe due to all the blood sacrifices of 2 world wars. How many know demons thrive on blood sacrifice? That's why they do it. You know, I put this chart together and I'm looking at Daniel 12:4, talking about knowledge increasing and things of that nature, and showing knowledge of transportation. And, you know, at the Tower of Babel, whatever pre-flood knowledge existed took a huge hit at the Tower of Babel. Because people who may have been like extremely intelligent together were now barely understanding each other and had to go out try to figure out their own languages. And, you know, sorry, you know, if you had Tesla in your group, that's great. But, you know, if you got Pee Wee Herman in yours, yeah, I'm gonna carve pictures in the caves. You know. All right. You know, knowledge took a nosedive, and that was God's plan. It was like, okay, with all this knowledge that you have, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna come after me. Fine, I'm gonna mess it all up. So knowledge and everything takes a nosedive at the Tower of Babel, and then you have a few peaks and stuff throughout various civilizations. But it kind of plateaus there as far as transportation and things of that nature until you get to the beginning of the 20th century, and then it goes through the roof.
Albert Einstein's involvement with the Manhattan Project and the American-led effort to develop the atomic bomb during World War II was indirect and largely symbolic rather than hands-on. Einstein himself did not participate in the Manhattan Project. However, his scientific contributions played a significant role in the decision to undertake the project and funding and support of the project. Einstein's most significant contribution to the Manhattan Project was his earlier role in alerting President Roosevelt to the danger of Nazi Germany acquiring nuclear weapons. Einstein co-authored a letter to the president warning him of the potential catastrophic outcome of the Germans retaining or gaining atomic weapons during World War II. While Einstein didn't play much of a role hands-on in the Manhattan Project, men who did play a significant role were those following in Einstein's footsteps and following the work of Albert Einstein, men like Niels Bohr and Robert J. Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer especially is known for his work in the Manhattan Project and is called the father of the atomic bomb. Now, Robert J. Oppenheimer was not only an occultist, but he was someone who studied Hindu philosophy, specifically the Vedas. And it was because of this and his being led by a fallen power to create technology so destructive that it could only come from the fallen realm, the same as the antediluvian world received technology and science from the fallen angels known as the Watchers. But it was because of this that Oppenheimer quoted the Vedas when he quotes Vishnu saying, "Behold, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." This is very significant because Oppenheimer was so obviously being led by a hidden hand showing war never changes. It will always be fueled by the enemy of mankind who seeks to destroy mankind. And we need to know our enemy instead of being ignorant of his devices, lest he should get advantage of us. He definitely took advantage of Oppenheimer, and Japan was hit in two major cities by two large, destructive atomic bombs that gave huge, and I'm talking thousands when I say huge, tens of thousands of sacrifices to demons. Demons love blood sacrifice. And that is exactly what they received for the knowledge that they gave in World War II to the scientists. It was because of this knowledge and the creation of these massive atomic weapons known as Little Boy and Fat Man. Their destructive power was the same. And the unseen hand behind them was these fallen angels, these fallen powers. We see that Oppenheimer was possessed by the spirit of murder before he ever finished the Manhattan Project. In the movie about the Manhattan Project and Oppenheimer's life, he poisons the apple of his mentor, and it is only at the very last minute that he changes his mind. He was possessed by the spirit of murder, and these things all ended at the same place, which was the creation of the organization CERN. The atomic bombs, the Manhattan Project, every bit of it showed these entities that the world, the scientists, and great minds of humanity could come together once again the same way they did before and at the Tower of Babel, and that together they could do the things that these entities needed done and open the doors that these demons needed opened in order for their fallen parents to enter back into this world. Remember, the Book of Enoch says that it was 70 generations that they were to be imprisoned within the abyss known as Tartarus in the Greek language. But you can think of it as the lowest depths of Hades. It is basically hell adjacent. It is not the lake of fire, but it's right at the lake of fire. And CERN was created because of what was shown at the Manhattan Project, the way these scientists work together. And now, since its founding, CERN has been looking for the Higgs boson or God particle and opening portals, as well as looking for dark matter or antimatter, as it is sometimes called, both of which are one and the same, but they are quite literally the opposite of matter. They are producing dark matter with so much and so long that they run the portal or run the collider at CERN. Every time they collide these particles together, dark or antimatter is created as a byproduct of these collisions, slamming atoms together at the speed of light. But it boils down to the fact that they are trying to open a portal to the abyss. It is not a coincidence that Shiva or the destroyer in any manifestation of Apollyon is the representation that they choose to use for the LHC at CERN, or the whole facility. Look at the rituals, whether they were mock rituals or actual rituals, at the opening of the Goddard Tunnel. In order to explain this where everyone can understand it, I am going to refer to the late Stephen Darby and his explanation of the occult. Pastor Darby was explaining CERN and the occult many years before people who are just now catching on to it.
So they done found out that I'm telling you, ain't this something? Because they meddling with stuff, It ain't that they meddling. They don't want to. Bible said because they won't retain God in their knowledge, then they became stupid fools. So they fools. They doing foolish stuff because they don't want to believe in the God of the Bible. So they go looking for something else. And and Satan is promising them knowledge and eternal life. Build this for me. I'm going to build this. Come on, put this together. And that's why we have an explosion of knowledge, because science went from real science to the occult. See, that's why everything we have built now is occultish. Because Satan promises them knowledge, and they get rich, of course, and get prestige and honor from the knowledge, but they just keep building him a world. They're building for him. They may not know they're building for him, but that's what they're doing. Now, so put it back up there. So you know that what holds him back, so that he will be revealed in his own time, for the power of lawlessness, for the hidden power. Listen to me. You got to understand these scriptures. The hidden power means what you can't see, it's already working. This dark side is already working. Because I told you, what are they coming back to him? What are they collecting over there with that machine? Darkness, antimatter. There's matter. Come on, I have to get y'all with this. It's the point of my thesis, and if I don't get y'all to get this, you'll be lost. They are collecting matter. They're actually collecting the dark side of matter, the antimatter. Okay? This, what they call chaotic and unstable. It is darkness. They are collecting darkness. Do y'all hear what I'm trying to tell y'all? God put us in a realm of light. This realm, this earth realm. This, I'm not saying earth, I'm saying dimension. What we can see, this 3 dimension is a realm of light. It's a realm of goodness. Even if you don't know God, there's goodness here. You sense goodness. You can feel love. That realm without the veil is chaotic. It's evil, totally demonic. It is hell. That's why the Bible calls it the bottomless pit, the abyss. It's not a hole in the ground. It's a dimension that's open. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? It is chaotic. I would tell y'all what it is better. The Bible says in the Genesis 1:1 that what happened was in Genesis was the earth was without form and void. That word void in the Hebrew meant chaos. Let it sink in. Which means the realm that God is withholding was once over the whole world. So when he said, let there be light, he started dividing, putting the veils, block them. And he said, put the earth here, sky here, go here. He was blocking. But man is tampering with what is restraining darkness. And just so happens, listen now, scientists have figured out, these physicists know that I told y'all before that antimatter, darkness, is in each one of us. Now, this is crazy. This is what happened to Adam. He was a creature of light. When he sinned, darkness came in him. Darkness came into the flesh of man. You got what I'm saying? After that, every man was born with automatic. That's why you ain't got to teach us to sin. We will sin because it's in us to sin. You got what I'm saying? The problem is that, well, not the problem, but the goal of life. Man, I'm giving y'all some stuff here. Listen, the goal of life is for you to meet the light, or you will die in your darkness. Which means your darkness. Now listen to me. Oh, God help me. These physicists have said that, remember, that what they are collecting, this antimatter, this darkness, is still connected to whatever's on the other side. And they said, and this one Christian scientist said that demons are attracted to antimatter or darkness. Come on, let it sink in. So if a person, listen, lives their life and never runs into the light and start to be renewed and regenerated by the light of Christ, the darkness in them will grow. This is why people that don't know Christ and get older, they hard. They just they can't believe, because their darkness has grown. And the reason why this is so dangerous and understanding what the Antichrist is going to do is they're collecting this antimatter and they're going to use it in the tribulation, that when a person does not have the light in them, they will use it against you and increase your darkness. Think about what I'm going to tell you. Every dark thought, desire, deed in you will be magnified. Because scientists have said that when they take this antimatter and they bring it and it gets close to anybody, it begins to bring darkness out of people. People start getting hallucination and depth and all kinds of stuff start happening in their mind, and they start seeing spirits and stuff. This is what these people were playing with. And we thought this is science. No, this is the occult. This is spiritual. Can y'all handle what I'm saying?
Although I did not agree with everything that he preached and said, the late Pastor Stephen Darby was most definitely ahead of his time when it came to exposing the occult and the things of the dark side of the spiritual world. And Pastor Darby's explanation of CERN and dark matter is a perfect segue into what we are going to be talking about now. We are going to be looking at something that we've talked about a few times here on Kingdom Productions Network in the Remnant Report, as well as videos such as this. And that is not only the connection between mathematics, science, and the occult and the particle accelerator at Geneva, Switzerland, but the fact that the Cabala and the sparks that are scattered from the Ein Sof in Cabala are 100% the representative of the particles in particle physics and quantum theory that we see from CERN and even quantum computing such as AI. So check this out.
Artificial intelligence it's connected to so many other things that are going on today, and because it's like we're seeing a convergence. So you've got, not only the amount of knowledge that's being developed and the amount of data and the computer systems, and into quantum computing, which is connected to AI, but you also have science being developed in all sorts of different areas, and we have all of this sort of converging and changing our lives, and it's all in pursuit of how do we create this demon thing. I think, and everybody who are very well versed in these very much high levels of quantum computing, artificial intelligence, interdimensional thinking, quantum physics, they are quite familiar with the understanding that this demon aspect is not just an allegory, because a lot of these people are initiated into the mysteries, and science is sort of that outward mask, like that theater mask or the crazy clown demon mask look, right? Because it's what's underneath is who they are and what they really believe. And I don't think most people understand that when we talk about AI, we need to talk about quantum mechanics, because people are thinking that quantum mechanics is going to do a certain amount of things to bring about the end time and to push into further science and things. And the sort of common thought is they need AI to partner with quantum mechanics and quantum computing, which they're starting to do, to complete it. And so they need to marry the two, which has a very interesting sort of connotation and understanding when you get to it. And if you think about where all of this sort of begins is because artificial intelligence goes deeper than just what we can see. It's going to get into the quantum sort of world. It's going to get into nanotechnology. It's going to get into the the whole aspect of quantum ideology. And if we understand that quantum mechanics has been working for, being put together for the last 100 years or so, and it's sort of like stepchild coming out of that, or sister is Sophia, or the artificial intelligence, then you won't be surprised to learn that, Wolfgang Pauli, who is considered the sort of pioneer of quantum mechanics, he was deeply into the occult, which is what I was referring to. And this is not uncommon. He's an individual that was into alchemy and a fan of Carl Jung, and totally into Eastern religions, and totally believe that if you want to understand this whole concept of artificial intelligence and quantum mechanics and quantum computing as sort of descends out of it, you have to understand Eastern mysticism. And then as that sort of progresses, you get pioneers like Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, and both of them consulted the Vedas for better understanding. And in fact, they thought that their experiments were completely consistent with teachings out of the Vedas. And what they would say is that there's a unity, and I'm going to read this, there's a unity and a continuity of the Vedanta that is reflected in the unity and the continuity of wave mechanics. So they're basically saying they're talking and are kind of one of the same thing. And Heisenberg, he thought that quantum theory makes sense to people who read the Vedanta and consider Vedic thought. And that's exactly what he's referring to when he talks about that. And then as they get into this understanding of waves and particles, that's where you start to get into this whole understanding of the quantum world. And the idea of quantum entanglement is an idea that comes from their idea of knowledge and the knowledge of the universe, that is held at the quantum level. And you've heard that term come out of CERN, but this is a little bit different. And that's why there's a lot of dispute as to what the God particle is and whether or not they're actually trying to get, what happened at the point of the Big Bang, of the start of the universe, as science would call it. But what they're searching for is something called the Atma, A-T-M-A, or A-T-H-M-A-N, A-T-M-A-N. And this is a invisible particle. And it doesn't merge with all of the other particles, but it sort of manipulates the particles and this is typical Veda thought. And so what it is that it is the soul and the consciousness and the communicator of the instructions and the information and the decisions to all the particles in the universe, and quantum entanglement that goes out instantly. And it works through the particles like it avatars the particle, which again is that Eastern Vedic sort of thought. And it is the true life force. And it is the undiscovered particle because they don't even know how to find it, but that's what they're kind of searching for as they get down to it. And it has different properties than other particles. And this is what is holding the knowledge of the universe and communicates it everywhere, which they'd love to be able to tap into. So if you want artificial intelligence that is going to go to a level beyond just being self-aware, it has to be able to tap into something that's limitless, right? Because it's going to be forever learning. So obviously, if you're going to want to expand quantum computing, you have to have it work in a manner that is more than just single task sort of purpose. Like it can do a ton of things, but single purpose, right? And it doesn't really do anything with that other than give you data and information. So when you hear about artificial intelligence being married up with CERN or with Google, there's not that many of these very, very advanced quantum computers in the world, but wherever they're doing it, they're trying to match AI in there so that it can expand its ability than single source sort of inquiries, right? So it wants to be able to go into different dimensions, do things faster than anything that's ever been done before, but in a way that can do something with that information coming out and develop it. So that's where they want it to partner with AI. But you also want AI in the interdimension aspect if you're going to develop more than a self-aware individual. And I don't think it's just knowledge that makes you self-aware, but certainly this ability to become self-aware with intelligence and to be able to create things in terms of mentally and produce things out of nowhere like humans can, or at least out of the imaginations, or at least how we think we can do that. Let's at least put it that way, because I know some people will believe that we don't have any original thoughts, we don't create anything, but that's fine. But if you want to raise that to a level of godhood, to a level of technology that they had before the flood, to a level that could bring you to the point of rebelling against the omnipotent God of everything, you need access to this information in a self-aware manner that can work in multiple dimensions. So whether or not you are channeling a spirit or this other type of creation will channel a spirit, in this case a demon, is it then really getting into the occult thought process of this knowledge of everything that's the Atman particle, or is it really just trying to find another way to communicate and be led and manipulated by demon spirits, right? And as we go back using the Greek understanding of it, this would go back to what they call hero worship. So after the hero, Titan, Nephilim, died, they would be afraid of this hero spirit and would come back to haunt its place of authority that it ruled from. And so the people used to do sacrifices and rituals to appease this god who had just lost his physical body, because his body died, but it's an immortal spirit that's not permitted to go to sleep, and it's not permitted to go to heaven, and it has enmity for humankind. So you can imagine how upset it is, and that's why people have to worship them in the Greek times. And we understand that as those strange kind of gods, not the goat gods, but the evil spirits, where some of the idols were made for in the Old Testament, and as the same as those devils or those evil spirits that Jesus was referring to in the New Testament that thirst for a body, right? Because they need a body to interact with this world. Otherwise, they're just kind of in nowhere land, and Jesus actually calls it as thirsting for a body. So they are desperate to have a body all of the time. I believe they've made some contact with these things, not only through rituals, but through possibly some other experiments that they have the ability to manipulate. Just like they might have the ability to manipulate an Ouija board, for example. Science stems out of the occult. So if you go back to the formation of modern science in about 1660 to 1662, some will date back even to the 1640s with the formation of the Royal Society. This is a group that is formed by the Rosicrucians and the Freemasons, right? And they're going to develop the 7 sacred sciences, which are the same sciences that were developed by Enoch, son of Cain, and his progeny of the Cain line, to a level that took the antediluvian world into the first apocalypse by water. And so science pays tribute to the Royal Society even to this day. And the Royal Society is still guiding everything. And what they're trying to do is develop the sciences to bring about the end time. They're trying to develop the technology to bring about the end time. They're trying to honor their pantheon of gods and dishonor the God of the Bible and not give God credit for anything and to slander God, and so that they can bring about this rendezvous with destiny in the end time. So everything is absolutely linked between science and polytheism, and people get confused because, well, they say, well, the seculars believe in evolution. That's pablum for the masses. That's all that's designed to do, is temporarily lead people away from God and prepare them to accept the other ideas afterwards. They'll discard that very, very soon, I think, because, you know, the higher level of scientists and that what's behind and guiding science, then you understand that they actually called themselves, as they formed the Royal Society, as the last of the sorcerers and the first of the scientists. And that's that transition as they take on that new mask into modern time. So they are going to honor their pantheon with their inventions and their advancements and everything that they call, whether or not it's the Apollo rockets that's going to the moon. You can name an endless list of this iconology that's used in science. That's there for a reason. It's their belief system.